You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Wayne! I'm tired tonight,
Carlos.
Wayne. How you doing? I got my my
it's
Pepsi.
been a week.
got my Pepsi here. I'm trying to get a little caffeine in me, trying to get a little energy in me.
My old fashioned is empty. I finished it before the show. Apparently, I need to go sneak out and get a beer. I guess.
Talk about last week, man. What a great show last week we had.
That was phenomenal.
Back to back calls nonstop.
Yeah, it was awesome. A lot of great calls. A lot of good topics. Hopefully, we get that again this week because we're down. We almost had one Mike on game, but he was having technical difficulties. Hopefully, maybe
We're hoping he makes it back. Jump
So
in at
we're
any time, Mike.
Yep. We're a little late starting tonight, but who's this guy? You're Carlos, right?
Oh, I'm Carlos. Hey,
And I'm Wayne.
and what Wayne? What do we do here, Wayne?
We talk about how we game.
And on
then
Thursday nights, we take your calls to talk about
how you game.
That's right. Beans and Dice podcast, Thursday night live call-in show. We will open up the phone lines maybe a little early.
Probably, yeah.
It worked out really well last week.
It did. We're down one, Rob. Right? I can't do it as good as him, but he had a little some vision eye problems at Sobo, I guess I hear. So our
It
thoughts
could have been
and prayers.
Louisiana. All that
Louisiana.
that sugar from the daiquiris.
Messing up the eye. So hopefully Rob's doing all right, and hopefully he'll be good to go by next week. But
Hopefully
thinking
he's
about
watching.
you out there, Rob. Hopefully everything's good for you. Yeah.
Maybe pop in the chat, say hi if you are.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll get one mic in here soon to join us from all the way from Washington State, all the way across the country.
Yeah.
I think clearly about as far as you can get in the Continental.
Pretty much, yeah. And like diagonally across from us too. It's not even like
Right.
It's got to be like extra. So that's cool. What you been up to, man? I know you got.
Let's talk. Well, see, last week the guys were in Louisiana enjoying Sobo, so we're hoping when Rob gets back, we'll get more updates.
And potentially maybe Nick's out there throwing smacks. He's going to call in and talk about Sobo or Mitchell or somebody. Mitchell could
If
jump
not,
in.
check out our buddy BJ from Board Game Gumbo. His channel just posted a chat with him and Mitchell about Sobo. So it's another way to get some info on Sobo.
I might have to go to that next year.
It's the hospitality, the people.
I love the idea of going to New Orleans for a day or two and then heading to like 2 days straight of board gaming. That is right up my wheelhouse. Although my wife would definitely be upset at me going to New Orleans for a couple of days because she loves it about as much as I do. So,
well, I took the whole family and we had a great time. All the way from Sweden, our man Edmund England saying hi, guys.
Hello.
We were a little slow to get it started from technical issues. James Odak in the chat asked if it was a spilled beer. That's usually the culprit. That's
Usually.
If there's an issue, it usually it's spilled beer, but not this time. Chester Wilson asked if it was spilled beans. And then in the chat, we got our man Rich Yassi talking about us getting back online and getting working. Talking about Rob. He's face down in a pile of Blood Bowl minis. He continues to push that lie about Rob and Blood Bowl.
Ron Fraser saying New Orleans is great. It is.
Yeah, I think Ron is originally from New Orleans, if I remember correctly.
I love New Orleans. The food, the music, it's definitely one of my top 5 favorite cities to visit. So,
Jodak, did you fly this year? Is that because I drove last time and that was a great road trip. The family loves that road trip. Stopping in New Orleans, having our own car, being able to go where we wanted. But he's talking about next year driving to Sobo.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
I'm not driving at Brennan's, says Rich.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And then Ron Fraser says born and raised New Orleans.
Nice. Yep. New Orleans is
Born
a
and
great
raised.
town. Love it. I would not.
While they
drive
were all
to
in
New
Sobo,
Orleans.
I was in Atlanta, where Ron Fraser is currently at. And I did time flew. Like that race alone, it was a 10-hour race on a Saturday. And trying to get back down because apparently my buddy Mike, I didn't think Mike had to work Monday, but he did. So we had to make sure to leave with enough time Sunday, so I wasn't able to go where I wanted to go, do the extra stuff at all. But I did get to play some Heat while preparing for the race in Atlanta. Unfortunately, my goal was to play Heat at the track, but the weather was crummy. I mean, it rained our entire drive to Atlanta all Friday, and then Saturday morning it was all overcast and dewy and misty. It was like being in a cloud practically the whole morning into the afternoon. It was also the day of the solar eclipse, so the sun really wasn't like at full power.
Yeah,
like it was just.
Hey, I had soccer games for my kid that day. I was loving it.
Right, it felt like a shady day.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So I was not risking my copy of Heat on because the dewiness never really dried up. The grass was always kind of wet. Everything was kind of humid. I was not risking my copy of Heat. I did not take it out. I left it in the car. But I did get it played in Atlanta, and it reminded me how much I really still enjoy a game of Heat. There's a reason why it's still in the hotness list of BGG, even a year after it's come out.
Yeah, I'm coming around to it. I've been playing it on BGA now. So I played it the first few times, just the base game, and I was like not impressed. And then we played that one time at your place where we did some of the expanded rules, and I'm like, I really like that. And now I've been just playing the base stuff back on BGA, and it's fast on BGA, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm definitely digging it more. I want to get, I think, more plays of the expanded universe or the expanded rules, the garage and things like that. And I think this is a game that's just I'm gonna come full circle and be like, this game's not gonna be talked about much in a year. But I think that first expansion comes out, it's gonna add ton more to the games, and it's just gonna be blown up again. So,
yep, I like the game. I was not enamored with it the first time for the same reasons you said. It's when you get to the advanced rule book, you read about how to upgrade your car, how to get sponsors. Doing a championship, a season of like 6 races where you're scoring a different number of points, and you add in the automa drivers to be able to fill in the gaps, because any racing game is going to get boring when there's only a couple, 3 cars on the track. Most games struggle. So like a Rallyman GT, you don't want to have to run 2 cars each player, because there's a lot of thinking involved with that. I know that Thunder Alley does a good job of giving you multiple cars to fill the track up. That seems pretty easy. But it's that automa that really, I think, takes it to the next level for me. Looking forward to playing it again. My buddy Mike, who was with me, wants to do the season. So we're talking about like Thursdays pre-show, doing a season of racing, if we can get Rob back out here.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That's what I played. What'd you play?
I haven't actually gotten much played in the last week or so. I'm trying to think now. The only thing I did acquire. I finally pulled the trigger and bought all of Obsession. Been playing it like crazy on BGA. Played it a couple times in person, and I think it was Diego that posted that, or Diego or BJ posted that there was going to be a new Kickstarter for coins and another like expansion. And I said, well. And then it wasn't going to be, the game wasn't going to be in the Kickstarter, which I love as well. So I just went and I purchased all of the Obsession, and as soon as I got the game out, and my wife's like, "Ooh, what's this?" Well, it's like Pride and Prejudice, and it was immediate hit. Playing the 2-player a little bit, and her sister's huge into Pride and Prejudice, so I just know that like this Thanksgiving, I'm gonna bring that over, and we're definitely getting that to the table. So it's kind of cool. And I gotta say, I really, so I only got 1 play of that in. I love it. It's probably going to move up my list. The game gets even better with the expansion, because you get more different, servants, which is upstairs, downstairs, and stuff like that. Fantastic. But I would talk a moment about the Kickstarter, and I'm in love with it. I've been disinterested with Kickstarter lately. I've been very kind of like anti-Kickstarter. But so the owner's name is Dan Halligan. He's the creator of the game, and he owns the company. And man, he's just doing it right. So he's like, his video on the Kickstarter is like a 10-minute video, and he starts like saying like, "Hey, this is gonna be a 10-minute video. I don't know how it's going to be. It's gonna be 10-15 minutes. I'm just gonna talk." And he's like, "I'm gonna break every rule that Kickstarter says don't do this, don't do that, right? You want a quick flashy video and a bunch of reviews and all this stuff. And he's like, I'm not doing any of that, which immediately I like that, bucking the trend. But he talked about, he immediately addressed why you can't buy the base game in the Kickstarter. And he's like, I've spent the last year or two trying to localize this game all over the world to get it to distributors, to get it to local game stores, to get it, translated in all different languages. Why would I, in this Kickstarter now, undercut them by allowing you to buy the game here? And so he literally said, like, you can go to my website here in the United States and buy it, and you have it in a week. He created a link on his Kickstarter page to where it goes to his website, where he's got all the distributors around the world and all the local game stores around the world that have his game in stock. And he's like, you don't need to buy this through my Kickstarter. Go to the game store and buy it because it's there already. And so that he's like, it would be disrespectful or not, ethical for me to undercut and take all of the people who are looking for my game, the cream off the top, and then stick all these game stores and all these distributors with copies of the game that they can't sell now because all the people bought it through the Kickstarter, which you got to respect that. I love that. And then, he immediately said, look, my father was an artist. You'll never get AI art. And he's like, I know that my tiles are ugly right now, but in a future, yeah. And then he's like, said, I know they're ugly as shit. He's like, in a future expansion, a future Kickstarter, maybe he's working with an artist to actually do art for every single tile in the game. And he said, I'm not going to make you rebuy it. He's like, I will sell you just the punch boards so that you can get the punch boards or not. And then you can literally take all the tiles and move them out and put in the nice art ones. And then I kind of believe this dude because he's kind of a little eccentric guy. He said, everything's always going to fit in the base box. He's like, I figure it out. And he's got videos left and right of how to unpack and repack and how to organize everything to get it all in the base box. He's like, I'm not going to do a special box in a year, or a big box, or this or that. He's like,
It sounds like he's calling people out, though.
He kind of is, man. I love it though, because he's just very honest. He's like, here's what I'm doing. I love this game. This is my product. This is my baby. It's going to fit. You can take all the coins. The metal coins are the same size as the cardboard coins, so they're going to switch right out in the box. I just love the way he's doing. He's super honest, just very upfront. So I kind of appreciate that about it. So I was in a heartbeat. So it's not a cheap game because I bought everything. It was like $150 for like everything. And then I just did the Kickstarter. But he even said the Kickstarter, he's like, I'm going to make sure it's under $40 for coins that are twice the size of other coins and all these other expansion pieces. So it's good. I'm looking forward to it. I love the game. It's a great game. I know BJ, who just posted in the chat here. He's a big fan of Obsession. So I'm happy with the way he's handling the Kickstarter, and it's a great game. And so I
need to be taught. I have not played that. Yeah. I don't think I ever had a desire to until we had conversations on the show. I think Kyle from Chicago, actually called in to talk about it. And that really drove me to want to play it.
Yeah. There's BJ saying, yeah, look, the Kickstarter is great. Back to day one. I just love it. No AR and everything's going to fit in the base box. I'm not going to try to resell you boxes later. When I do all this crazy cool art for the game, I'll just sell you the punch boards. Like he's always done that. Like from first edition to second edition, he made the box available to the, it's good. So, yeah. So
that's Wayne talking Obsession
what
Kickstarter.
Yep. What I played recently and also back to Kickstarter for it. So I'm excited for that. So
I got some heat in. That's about it because it was a weekend focused on enjoying Atlanta. I ate Waffle House every day. Every day I was there. It's amazing. And then I caught myself watching Waffle House training videos because I was like,
you were there early enough to watch the people training?
No, I was there. This is at home, like later.
Oh,
I was like, stunned, surprised, like really admiring how they did their work. Because we sat at the bar at one point, the counter height, and man, like the server would take our order and then just start calling it out to the cooks, and the cooks are two guys at a kitchen smaller than mine, right? Like a small
That's
kitchen.
a short order, man.
Feeding a short order cooks, feeding the whole place in fast order. They're not writing anything down. There's no screens. There's no tickets on the board. She's just calling out the orders, and they're just throwing things where they go. And my plate comes, and everything's exactly how it should be. And it's all to me in like 5 minutes. So I was kind of like, wow, how do they do that? So I caught myself on YouTube watching training videos on how to be a short order cook at Waffle House.
Now I'm going to have to go do that. Just real quick, I think so. James, Jim, you've played this Obsession. You played it with Rob and Sam. Is the game we were talking about. So, but yeah, now I'm gonna have to go look up Waffle House training videos, and I'm sure my wife will be all about it because she's a foodie as well. So, I'm gonna post these. Here we go. So, I got to do it, I guess, right? So, Rich saying, be sure to take my victory lap for winning the Beans and Dice Can't Stop tournament, which, I guess I came from behind. Here's BJ. Congrats for kicking our butts in the last.
Give you an achievement there.
So the last game, it was me, BJ, Michelle, and Nick, and it was the most stressful game of Can't Stop. I think all four of us we're all in the chat going, "This is stressful, guys," because it was battling. I mean, it was like everybody had one row at one point. Well, first like 10 rounds, I didn't score anything, and then I started scoring, but everyone got one row. And then everyone was trying to push to get to the end. And there was a ton of people in the middle of rows or towards the top of rows. And it was like super tight. It was fun. That was easily probably the most stressful, but most fun game of Can't Stop I've ever had. Even though it was on BGA, not live, it was awesome. It was really fun. So yeah, it was a good tournament. So I'm glad to have finally won one of the Beans and Dice tournaments. I usually crap the bed in the knockout rounds, so it was good to make it all the way. So,
well, I'm glad that Can't Stop made it to a highlighted online tournament game for the Beans and Dice group, because Can't Stop was one of the first games I was taught on BGA. I was kind of taught about BGA and how to use BGA using Can't Stop, because it was the easiest game to teach.
Right.
So here's the interface for BGA. Here's how you set up a game, and then we played Can't Stop, and then I think we played it like 5 games at a time for like the next week straight. We had at least 5 games going at one time. So at any moment you were clicking on 5 different games of Can't Stop, taking your turns back to back to back.
Yep. It's a good one. It really is. Like, it's funny how old that game is. And it kind of still, it shows the tales of time, or what, I forget the phrase. It really has not shown its age, because it's just a simple game, and it's just easy to teach, and you can play with any age group, and it's fun. So, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna work on getting you a trophy. Okay, rookie mistake. All the files that I made for trophies and awards and wooden spoons and all that stuff, I kept them on a thumb drive, because for some reason I thought I would never lose the thumb drive. I don't know why. I thought I would never ever lose a thumb drive. Like, here, hold on, let me do it. Come close. Don't do that. Jesus saves, and so should you, right?
You go, Speaky Big. Go for it.
Saving everything to a thumb drive that you need is not intelligent. You need to have backups, and it makes a thing called the cloud now, where you can put it from any device somewhere safe, where you can pull it up from anywhere. So my recommendation to you folks at home is don't do that. So I'm having to recreate all my files for all the awards, all the coasters, all the trophies, all that stuff, Wayne. So I will work on getting you an award once I get this. I think the first thing I created outside of my thumb drive was the award that I sent over to Sobo for BJ's tournaments. I had to make that I had to recreate the files for that one. That was the first one I've done. So more to come on that. Yep. And that gets us to about 9:30. So we'll open up the phone lines for you folks at home. 813-618-7099 is the number.
Yep. It's called Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive or
and I pay like the extra money to have like the Google Drive, full
giant
terabyte or whatever it is that you get out of it online. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I just kind of had that thumb drive always near the.
But I think that's the issue. Yeah, that's the issue with like some of the Glowforges and some of the 3D printers is you have to like put your files on a thumb drive and stick it into the actual machine for it to print or do.
And I think that might be it, because it's not the machine. The machine is all cloud-based, but whenever I scan anything into the printer, I scan it onto the thumb drive. Like when I'm creating stuff for the Glowforge, the phone number is 813-618-7099. Phone line's open. When I'm creating stuff for the Glowforge, I'll scan things in and then like trace over it in the computer, but I'll scan it to the thumb drive and go from there. But I think I was completely wrong. And on the line, calling in now, tell Carlos why he's completely wrong. Say hello.
Guys.
Hello, Ron Frazier.
What is happening?
What's going on, Ron?
Just leaving some cards. As you do.
Lorcana?
Super Show right now, but I was fooling around with Lorcana cards.
I played this Super Show game.
Yeah. Pretty fun. And so is Lorcana.
Well, for the next 10 minutes, the show is yours.
Right. So, as I mentioned last week, I went to a little event called Atlanta Game Fest. It is an event that happens twice a year now. Used to be 3 times a year. Where it's typically about 200 to 300 people. So it's small, and it's an open play convention that lasts for 4 days. And and here's the neat thing about it: like the convention does not like have itself a library. It's like people bring games to share, to play, and so you get a wide variety of games. Including some new hotness, right? Like because you got avid board gamers, and you also have some of the classics, and there's everything in between. It's pretty neat. I mentioned right because last week when I called in, Thursday the first day, I had went down there and I played Dark Tower. If you guys remember.
Yep.
And you said you were going to go play again, right?
And I did. So once again, it was co-op, but this time it was 4 players, and that is what that really helped me get a much better idea of how the game plays. So I'm going to give it the beans right quick on that.
Wait. Did you say you were going to give it the beans?
Yes.
We're getting it. You give it, we get it. Let's go. Get the banner up, Wayne. Get the banner up. There it is. Give it the beans, folks. Give it the beans. What we do with give it the beans, you can either give it the beans, or if you want to be proper and say give it the beans, we're going to give this game the beans. The beans are basics, enjoyments, aesthetics, negatives, and summary. My man, Ron Frazier from Hotlanta, giving the beans on Return to Dark Tower. Go for it.
All right. So the basics. This is strictly from a cooperative point of view. It is a 1 to 4 player game that is cooperative or competitive, where you are playing fantasy heroes, collecting armies and resources to take on the big bad at the end of the game, who lives in, big surprise, the Dark Tower. It is a reprint of the classic game back from the 80s, which with a little bit added to it, but I never played the classic game. But those are the basics. Very popular game from what I understood in its original run. Popular game now, even though it costs an arm and a leg, and we'll get to that in a moment. Enjoyment. I felt like when I was collecting those tokens for warriors, and I was collecting those items, that I was really making some sort of headway. I was into the theme. I think the game is an app-driven game, and so there was some text and everything like that. And it's funny because the guy that I played with, he kind of glossed over the flavor text and everything like that. But like I tried to absorb as much of that stuff as I could.
What a Rob
And there's a little
move to
bit of
do.
art.
What a Rob move.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly who I was. That's exactly who I was thinking. But that's exactly what I was thinking about when we were doing that.
Don't you put that evil on me, Rob. Don't you put that evil on me.
But I really enjoyed the theme and got into it. Both in my 2-player game and my 4-player game. And so I think the app assistance helps because, as I mentioned last week, there's a card mechanic for conflict resolution, but instead of having the physical card to do that, the cards are all handled on the app, and you spend your resources all in the app, although your resources are on your cards that are in play in front of you and everything like that. So I think that helped with the enjoyment for me, helping me be immersed in the theme. And in both of the games, you really have to work together to get all your resources together to take on the big bad at the end. So I mean, it's a cooperative game. You want to work together. Right, so those things I really enjoyed. Of course, the production value is off the hook, with the minis and the tower and the things, the tower glowing and the skulls rolling out and all this kind of stuff and rotating all this kind of stuff. So production value, amazing. Aesthetics, well, which rolls into the aesthetics, amazing production value. Minis look great. The tower looks great. The guy had a neoprene playmat of the different for the map. That was great. I mean, even just the unpainted minis looked great. And this guy had painted stuff up and blinged it up a little bit, and so just a beautiful, gorgeous game to behold. And people were always stopping by, at least taking a look at the game, even if they didn't even know what it was.
And Ron, that was going to be my question. Like all the photos that Carlos is showing on Board Game Geek, they're all painted. So you actually got my question before it. Like all of the unpainted minis still look badass. Like you don't even have to paint them, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Is that tower glowing? Is that standard? Like the tower actually glowing red?
Yes. It's battery powered. So you're going to have those glowing lights and everything like that.
I could see the table presence drawing attention.
And it did. I mean, every time I've seen that game out on the table, it has drawn something, like whether at Atlanta Game Fest or in any other event. You cannot help but notice it. The tower and everything like that, right? And that draws your attention, and then you kind of look at the miniatures, and you see like the miniatures look great. And it's just fantastic looking on the table. So, but the negative, and I have mentioned this before, it's expensive. It's a pricey game. I don't remember what the MSRP is, but I think now that the base game is north of $200. I might be wrong, but it's definitely way north of $100. And then there is an expansion already out. There's a second one that, as a matter of fact, I believe the second one just came out because I was in a game store today and I saw it on the shelf. So, so it's not an affordable board game. As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite of an affordable board game. You're going to be putting up, spending some cheddar.
Because even the Kickstarter itself was like, but even the Kickstarter itself, when it first was on Kickstarter, was like 100 plus, right?
Yeah. Right.
So it's basically it becomes a lifestyle game. And is it heavy enough to be a lifestyle game?
Is it heavy enough to be a lifestyle game? That depends.
Like HeroScape is not a heavy game, but all of the constant modules coming out every month now, it seems like, from Hasbro. It can be a lifestyle game. You just got these modules you can burn through and pick up a new one every few months. Do you see that something that Dark Tower can do?
It would be a very expensive endeavor if they did it like that. I don't know what Restoration's game plans are about it, but from what I understand, there are campaigns in the game. You can play them as one-off. I might be mistaken on that, but I believe there's a campaign mode in the game as well. So,
and it could be like Mansions of Madness, where they later on provide. You don't buy any physical product, but you spend $6 and you get an updated mission on the app, or new missions or campaigns on the app.
Right. Yeah, they did that. They did that with I think they did that with Journey to Middle Earth once or twice too.
Yes.
The same thing. Yeah, where there's an app only expansion, which I think is pretty neat. That's innovative.
A board game DLC.
Right?
It's the best part about Mansions of Madness is the variability, and I really wish they would still. I know they're no longer making expansions to Mansions of Madness, but dude, you could just keep coming out with app-based stuff and charge me $4.99 for the app thing,
Yeah, exactly.
So
the other
how long?
Playtime.
Other negatives.
Playtime.
We got more negatives.
Playtime. Yeah, 4-player.
You came here for one negative. Ron's giving you two.
2-player game took us 3 hours and change. The 4-player game took us over 4 hours. And let me tell you, in that 4-player game, I definitely felt the downtime. Now, there was some cooperation and everything like that, with strategizing and everything like that, but that was a lot of downtime for the 4-player game. Even if the game was 4 hours in the 2-player game, it'd be different because you have a set number of turns to complete the game in. And so when you're a 2-player game, you're getting turns more often, so there's less downtime. And it's easier to coordinate because it's you and one other person. Whereas with a 4-person game, it's you and potentially 3 other people you're trying to coordinate with. So that just adds to the time. I still enjoyed it at 4 players, but my 2-player experience was much more enjoyable.
And what's interesting is
now I need to play it at 3 to see how it feels.
BGG says 1 to 4 players, best at 4, 100 to 120 minutes. Do you see if the 4 of you who were playing it and you did it in 4 hours, if you played it more regularly, do you see it ever hitting sub 2 hours?
No, there's no way. I can't see it. Unless you lose very, very quickly. It's just a long game, and you just got to be ready for that.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what I have to say on that.
All right. So what's the summary now? We got the buy, try, deny.
The summary. This is a very hard try, only because of the price. And by try, I mean you should play this more than once. Because there's no way that I'd spend $200 on a game based off of one play. You have to really give this game a couple of plays. And as much as I enjoy both of my plays of it, because there's lots of things you can spend $200 on, like 4 other board games.
Yeah, true.
So that's where I stand. So I recommend folks, if you're going to Daytona East, I know that they have to have. I'm pretty sure they have a copy in their library. That's the time to give it a try, or somebody else's copy.
And that's the tough part with a game like this.
How do you try it, right?
Well, right, but if you are trying it, it tends to mean you already have a friend who's bought into it. Tends to.
True.
Like, more than likely, you've got that friend who made this their lifestyle game or their favorite game. Actually, okay, I was going to say TI4 is an example, but in my game group, I think most of us own that game. But this game here, if someone else had it, I wouldn't buy it because I know that person who bought it is going to desire to get it tabled. They're going to put out days, hey, I'm tabling this game. Are you coming? Right? So I don't have to buy it. So I think, Ron, your try is an accurate rating, even though I've not played it yet.
But fortunately, I'm pretty sure Restoration Games is taking that kind of stuff into account. They have to with the price point on the game. So definitely a try. And it's not because it's like, there's a try because you're kind of iffy on the game. This isn't that. This is a try strictly on the price.
Yep. Well, you folks heard it here from our red bean transplant. I say red bean because he was originally from New Orleans, transplanted to Atlanta.
That's right.
So I won't call them the Black Eyed Peas because that's Atlanta. You heard it first.
And that would be, that would be an insult. Anyway, even though I live here, and Atlanta's great.
Once a red bean, always a red bean.
Atlanta is great.
Exactly. All right, guys.
All right, Ron.
I'm gonna hang up and listen.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
We appreciate you.
Take it easy.
Ron Frazier from Atlanta. Looks like we lost Mike again.
We did.
We're trying to get him back on.
I need Mike to come back on, man. I need to talk Nikosu Dice.
I heard a review of
so
Nikosu
many
Dice.
So many people are talking about that game now. It was all over the place at Essen and
even Broken Meeple.
Yeah,
played it. I think at Essen, and is now trying to make his own version. I know Mike had talked about that. Yes. I wanted to hear from Mike about making that version. Did he make it?
I consume a lot of digital media just because I sit at my computer programming all day. And literally, I probably have 25, 30 podcasts, board game related, or gaming related. And I think more than half of them now have talked about Nikosu Dice in the last couple of weeks. And I want to say, like, damn, this show talked about it 2 months before everybody else, thanks to Mike. So it's like,
on the cutting edge.
I know. The thing is, and speaking of going back to Dark Tower, I don't know of anybody in our crew that has it. Like, if there's somebody in the Beans and Dice crew that has the Dark Tower game, you all need to post that in Discord, and we need to get together and play it because I do want to try it.
If anyone would have had it, I would imagine it would have been David Carlton, but I believe he's moved away. So that's where, because he was way big into the theme story games.
I mean, maybe I wonder if Dan maybe got a copy that for the store, or he has a copy. But yeah, what's crazy is as big as the Beans and Dice Tampa crew is, there's, I don't know, 40, 50 people between the Wesley Chappitt Gamers and the Your Turn and the Beans and Dice and the Tampa Gaming Guild and all this other thing. I haven't heard of one person that has the game. I'm like, damn it, I want to try it now. But it is what it is. We'll find it eventually. And if there is a copy of Dice Tower East, I'm in. Speaking of Dice Tower East, tickets go on sale. First weekend of November 9th. I'm there. Actually, it's like 2 days after your
Yeah. It's gonna be a busy holiday season.
All I know is the moment tickets go on sale, I am purchasing tickets for Dice Tower East, not only for me, but my wife and child have decided that they want to have gamer badges this year. So that should be good and bad at the same time.
I did want to go through the on the table recent plays. Let's see. Zeno's crew played it at Dice Tower East. That makes sense. That's right up Zeno's alley. He's very huge into theme gaming.
So either they have a copy or see. The only thing about the Dice Tower having a copy in the library is with the batteries. Like, I wonder how they handle that. But they probably have rechargeables, I guess. Oh, we have one mic back. Is he back? Are you back? Can we hear you, Mike?
One mic, none mic.
Am I here?
You are.
He is here.
Yay!
The legend.
The man, the myth.
I want to pick up my computer and throw it through the window right now.
I feel you. I feel you, man. It's
Am I
good to
too
see you,
loud?
man.
How are my levels? Am I level?
Levels are
You're
fine.
fine.
You're
Okay.
here. That's all that matters. We'll fix it in post. We'll do it live. We'll do it
Do it
live.
live.
Fix it in post.
Yeah. So James said it was the Dice Tower East copy, and it was blinged out to the hilt. So now I want to play the Dice Tower East copy next year. That's a game, Carlos. We're doing it.
It's 3 hours though, man.
I don't get. It's fine. It's 4 days a game.
That's
man.
not
We can-
terrible.
yeah, we should do it. So, Mike, what's going on, man?
What isn't going on, man?
How do we reset you?
I don't want to bring everybody down on the show. Let's just keep it positive. I made it in here. Let's just let's
So
talk.
I don't know if you heard Carlos and I 2 minutes ago, but we were singing your praises because literally every board game podcast is raving Nikosu Dice.
That game
It's
is
all-
so good.
It was all over Essen. Everyone's loving it, and you were the first one amongst like every content creator I know that's just bigging it up. And now I want to play this damn game, and I can't get it.
I can't take credit for it, man. It was my friend Scott that turned me onto it. So, but ever since I played it, I think Orem is. I like Orem a little bit more right now, but probably because I haven't played Nikosu in so long. But yeah, I tried to get Dan to pick me up a copy at Essen, but I heard it was like selling out immediately. Like there's no way.
It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so what I said before you back on is I listened to probably 20, 30 different podcasts, and over the last 3 months, like every other week, one of the other podcasts is now all of a sudden talking about Nikosu Dice, and it's like I'm on my every morning I go for a walk. I walk like 4 miles, and I'm like, "Man, now this podcast is talking about Nikosu Dice, and the next day or next week, it's like, oh, now
that's
this
so
one. And
funny.
it's like everybody's talking about it. Yeah.
And are they
Really cool.
raving about it, or like what are they?
No,
what are they saying?
not like it. I have not heard one negative review amongst every podcast that I've seen. Is probably 15 or 20 at this point in time that are all just like, "This is a really good game. Like, we should get it." I'm like,
The
How
only
is this
negative
not-
is
"You can't
inaccessible.
buy it anywhere." Yeah, it's inaccessible.
You can make your own though. If you
That's what one of the content creators was talking about. He was trying to figure out ways to make his own, like what he would need to make his own. And I remember you talked a little bit about making your own.
Yeah, so there's a real very accessible trick taking game called Stick'em, and it has like all the right colors and the right numbered cards. You're not even using the whole set, but you can grab the colors that you need, and then you just buy off of Amazon. You can buy a set of dice. You need 5 different colors, and I forget how many it is, but you can buy like a set of. It's like a set of 25 dice, I think, for like $7 off of Amazon. And between those two, you've spent maybe 20 to 25 bucks, and you've got yourself Nikosu dice, basically.
Nice.
And the only reason I don't feel bad about doing it that way is because you really can't get it anywhere.
yeah,
And if you
it's
try to
crazy.
import it, it's like $80.
Yeah.
So,
It's like I saw at Essen that like with Japan games and Korea games, they had booths at Essen, but it wasn't just one publisher. It was like 8 publishers, right? And it was like, and the Nikosu Dice, I guess, is a Japanese publisher, and the line was crazy for a game like that, and it was just selling out left and right. So,
Yeah.
but I am going to Japan in early next 2024, so I'll be there for a couple of weeks. So I should be able to find a copy.
well,
Might
you can
take me
find
6
more
months
than
to-
one copy because I want
Yeah.
I want a legitimate copy.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to
You
that. But
guys,
yeah, every
ahead.
time I hear a podcast and they mention that damn game, I'm like, damn it, Mike. No, I want this
On the
game.
pulse of gaming, Mike
I
Mike
know, right?
Lorenzo, on the pulse of
You were
gaming.
serious. You were. I mean, you said you were a friend, but I mean, you were definitely like several months before all these other content creators and before it became kind of in the zeitgeist of social media that this game is like a game that people want to play. So it was kind of cool.
Living rent free in that head of yours, man.
I know it is. And then today I saw on like Facebook Marketplace for the local area, like up the road from me, like 2 miles from me, someone's trying to sell Isofarian Guard, like the Kickstarter version for like $150.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
dude, all over that. If you're wanting to play a game like that,
Yeah. Is it a good one? Have you played a bunch of it yet?
I've only played the like part of the intro scenario, just to kind of get a feel for it. And then I was going to, actually, my friend Scott, we were talking about running the whole game together, like once a week or once every other week or whatever. And we just, with everything that's been going on with me lately, we couldn't get anything going. But they just had their second Kickstarter to do like a second printing. And then they did, for the people that backed it prior, you could do like an upgrade pack or whatever. So if they reprinted all the books and then they added all this new content. So they were giving you like, I don't know, 100 to 200 cards that were like added content. All the books were rewritten to kind of like, not that you couldn't play it with the original stuff. It just kind of explained things a little bit better. So it was a little bit more easy to understand. So I ordered that. But in the meantime, my Oathsworn upgrade stuff came in. So I'm going to play that and get that going. Hopefully get through that before the Isofarian Guard stuff delivers. Because I need space, man. I'm like, I got this little closet back here now that I bought like a bunch of cheap shelves just to fit most of my games. And I've got a huge pile of games over here that I'm going through, and I'm getting rid of a bunch of games. Just, space kind of dictates what you can keep and what you can't. So
yep,
it's one of those.
Speaking of what we can't keep,
I really want to play this. Nah,
what we can't keep on the show on Thursday nights. My man Mitchell from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Yeah, long time listener, first time caller. What do you mean can't keep? What's that supposed to mean? Because
like
I'm not on
Thursday
the show
nights,
anymore.
Hey, audio podcast is your game, but like Thursday nights, man, we miss you.
I miss you guys too. It's hard for me to have like a standing appointment on any given day of the week. The audio podcast works. Wayne and I kind of work on our schedules, but lots of theater. I've been very, very busy lately, but I promised Rob I'd call him this week since I got to see him a couple days ago, and Rob's not on the show. Where is he? I'm just tuning in right now. Did I miss something?
Yeah, he's at home resting up. I think he hit the daiquiris hard out in New Orleans.
Well, Dan was sick. He didn't even come to the second day of the con.
Wow.
So does Rob have the con crud?
A little more than that. Rob's pretty beat up today, so we told him to stay home and rest. We'll have him catch up next week with us.
Yeah. Dang, I'm sorry. Did he catch something from Dan, you think?
No.
Is Dan still sick?
I think Dan's better now. Last I heard from Rob.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. No, it was great seeing Dan and Nick and Rob at Sobo. I feel bad. I played very, very few games with them. I played very few games, period. As busy as I was at Sobo this year, I was even busier this year. Whenever I did get to play a game, I was like, oh, this is what a game con is like. But just kind of running a lot of behind-the-scenes things. It was a crazy weekend. It was busy, but it was a lot of fun. I'm hoping the Beans and Dice crew that were able to attend enjoyed themselves.
We've been watching the Discord chat and the post in there, and they look like they had a great time. They called in last week, pre-con, right? Thursday night they called in, and they were already starting the fun.
Bourbon Street.
Right. So it explains a lot of the recovery that's occurring this week.
Yeah. I saw some of those posts. I think they imbibed a little bit too much alcohol in New Orleans, and that was before they even made it to Lafayette for the food fest and stuff. I don't know
There's
how
no
much
such thing as too much in New
I
Orleans.
wasn't having any alcohol once they got to Lafayette. Maybe they had too much in New Orleans.
Now, were you working the majority of this con? Because I know you were hosting some games, some teaching, but based on what you just described on your con, it sounded like you were working.
Yeah, I Saturday especially, we just had. So I don't know if you remember, Carlos. Last year it was, other than some guided playthroughs, it was mostly just a gaming con, kind of like Dice Tower Retreat, because we had to keep postponing with COVID, and John, the guy who's in charge, he just wanted to have the con occur. Well, this year we were able to convince them, like, let's have some scheduled events, and just as soon as one event was ending, the next one was starting, and I was just kind of involved in a lot of it by my own, volunteering. Just to make sure it's running smoothly, and it was just nonstop. So, at 10 o'clock in the morning, our first round of unpub games and guided playthroughs got kicked off. As soon as those were finishing, there was a new round starting at 2. Whenever that was finished, we had a meet and greet with Berkey from Game Toppers, and he played a dice game, and we had hundreds of people come and roll dice and win some Game Toppers mats. As soon as that was over, we had a flea market. As soon as that was over, we had a tourney of challengers. As soon as that was over, we were giving our play to wins and raffle prizes away. And then the day was over. It was like back to back to back on Saturday. On Sunday, we had more unpub and guided playthroughs as well as giveaways. But, we didn't have our tourney and our bazaar and our meet and greet. So Sunday was a little bit more chill, and I got to play a few more games.
You all had a crazy amount of giveaways for, I'm not trying to, for a local convention, right? I mean, is that...
Yeah, we're a small con. We sold 200 something tickets, and we probably gave away close to 100 games when it was said and done. So
now, is that
a game for every other person?
Is that BJ reaching out to his contacts? Is that you reaching out? Is that like the person? Like, how did y'all do that? Get all those games?
Yes. So most of that was BJ. It's not 100%. We kind of all reached out, but BJ has more of the contacts, And so, the Play to Win program is a pretty popular thing for cons across the country. Jamie Stegmeyer, that's his preferred way of supporting cons, because I tell you, people come in and those are the games they gravitate toward, and all the people play them, and only one person goes home with it. We have all these other people that are like, wow, I really wish I won that game, and then they go and they buy it. BJ and we did a podcast the other night talking about the most played games in the con, and by far they were those play to win games. So I think it's an excellent marketing strategy. You donate one game, cost you, I don't know, not a lot of money from a publisher, and I'm assuming they're probably getting a bunch of orders. I heard a ton of people saying, oh yeah, I didn't win this, so I'm going home and I'm buying it, So we had like 70 something play to wins, plus we had we gave away games to the winners of the tourney. We gave away a game to a random early bird winner, and we also had a raffle that was like 15 games that we broke up into 2 different packages. So yeah, almost 100 games, plus all the Game Topper swag. Hundreds of dollars worth of Game Topper stuff that Berkey donated. So, I think a lot of people went home happy. For me, I think the only new game I played, I did play one of the play to wins, and that was Fit to Print, the new flat out game, 3AG. Have you guys played that one yet? It came out with like Deep Dive and Point City.
Yep. I know what game you're talking about, but I haven't played it.
But before you jump on that, let me give a little tip for y'all on this whole play to win thing, because I like to teach by showing what I did wrong. Right, so come here, get close, folks. Look closer. Hey, listen. When you play a game that's on the play to win list, the last thing you want to do is immediately order the game on Amazon when you finish playing, because when I ordered my game at the end of the night, my name gets called. That's the game I won. So on its way to my house was my copy of Riffle. What was that called?
Ripple Rush.
Ripple Rush, which I ended up winning at the con and taking home with me. So I had 2 copies of that. So
you got one to sell.
Now, I traded with Dan.
Didn't you and Dan trade or something? Dan won something he already had.
Yep.
So now Mitchell, glass of Sintra, maybe.
Yes, you remember? Yeah, it was
he's smart. Yeah. So the Necronomicon, which is the local Tampa Con, right? They do play to win, and I remember this is right before COVID. They had a bunch of games, just like you guys had, and people got in the habit of checking out the game for 5 minutes, writing their name on the sheet that they played it, and then checking it back in. And so you had a bunch of people in that never really played the game, and they were in the running to win the game. And so like what they do now is like when you check it out, they write your name in the box, and when you checked it out, and then if you don't check it back in, like if you check it back in within 10 minutes, they just cross it out because you don't count. You couldn't have played the game in 10 minutes. How do you guys get around people trying to just put their name in the hat to win it because they just want to try to win the game? How do you guys defeat the scammers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So last year that was a big issue, and it wasn't just that, but it was also someone checking out at the beginning of the day and sitting on it all day so no one else can check it out. So we were more aware of that.
No,
yeah, that's even worse. That's even worse, man. Yeah, there's a $40 game.
People
really?
are horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were more aware of it. We didn't want to call attention to it by saying like, "Hey, here's what we have in place." But we were just aware. In the library, it's all digital, the checkout. So aware of how long things were checked out for, and kind of just using discretion. As far as I know, there weren't any major issues this year, luckily. But Ray, the guy who's in charge of the library, he had his eyes looking for that kind of stuff from happening. And Obviously, I wasn't there the whole time, but from what it looked people were mostly playing fair. So that's good.
But it's also the space at Sobo, the gaming. It's not humongous. Like you can see they're not taking the game somewhere else. For the most
Correct.
part, it's all in that one gaming area. So if Mike checks out a copy of Tapestry, I can see him either playing the game or sitting on it. It's not,
Yeah, and that's something Mike would do.
Where else he's going with it.
Easy now.
Sit on what you want, Mike.
I just like you're gonna do like trying to scam for like a $40 game. Like I get, if you can't afford it, I guess I can get it. But like a lot of gamers can generally afford these games. Like to check a game out for 5 minutes, sign your name in, or check a game out and hold it all day. Like, come on, really? That, like, again, we're only talking about a very small percentage of the population of gamers, right? There's always a few bad apples, right? But like, I despise that.
Yeah. But like I said, this year it seemed like people were playing fair, having a good time. If you guys get a chance, check out iHeart Board Games. Jesse, who you met last year, Carlos,
Jesse and Melissa
throughout the con. Mm-hmm. Correct. Melissa wasn't there; she was sick, but Jesse was there. And supposedly he got this new camera that can like zoom in. And I didn't get to check it out yet, but BJ was saying he was like zooming across the ballroom and like commentating on games from afar without even being able to hear what was going on.
I like that.
That's hilarious.
NSA style, like he's getting audio and video from across the room.
Yeah, last year, the Beans and Ice crew, we did a stream with him. We played Viticulture. We were supposed to do that this year, but it's just like whenever I would have a few minutes, like Rob and Nick and Dan would have a scheduled playthrough, and whenever they were free, I was in the middle of doing something, so we weren't able to find a time that worked for us all. But we appreciate him being there. We had some really cool designers. Carla Kopp from Weird Giraffe Games, Fire in the Library, all that. She was there demoing some playtesting games to playtest. We had Hoochie Games, the Hurricane game last year, Carlos.
Yep.
They have a game about to hit Kickstarter from Mark Wallace called Chaos Cove. One of our local buddies did the graphic design on it that they were playtesting. Rob and Dan and Nick got to play that one. So, we were a small con, but we had some big names there, and we were happy about that, as well as a lot of local designers. Carlos, you met Jay last year, Jay Bell. He works for Panda Game Manufacturing, and he's a designer. He was testing out some new games. You have a copy of Spotlight that he put out last year.
I have a signed copy.
So there was a lot going on, even though it was a little con. Yep. Nice. And I think Dan, he said, beat him like really badly at his own game last year. You remember Dan for that.
That's cool. Weird Giraffe Games. I really like Fire in the Library. That's a fun little game. So it's kind of cool that they're there. And I've heard Berkey
there's a card version that's coming out that people were playing. Sorry, go ahead. Was that Berkey?
No, that's very cool. Card version, that's pretty cool too. Yeah, so it'd be a little more portable. I mean, the Fire in the Library is a relatively small box, but I'm sure a card version would be even. But now I've heard I'm an idiot and listen to a bazillion podcasts all day long, but I've heard Berkey on at least 3 or 4 different podcasts talking about y'all and how much fun it was, and that he's bigging it up. He seems like a really cool dude.
He is, yeah. Last year, he and Carlos and BJ and I at Dice Tower got to play. It was going to be a full-on tournament of baseball highlights, but I think we ran low on time. But I had met him there, and he's a good friend of BJ's. But he and Rob talked. I think he's supposed to try to be on this show sometime soon, whenever his Kickstarter goes live. I'm assuming he talked to you about that, Carlos.
Not yet, Robert. Again, he's recuperating, so I haven't been bugging him. But I'm sure Rob and I will get together to talk more.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, he also, I know, talked with Woody of Hoochie Games and Carla of Weird Giraffe, because they're all having stuff that's going to be going live soon. So, good cross promotion for both of you guys, the Beans and Dice and those companies.
Yeah, we love having people from the industry on the show, because I just love being able to be that conduit for our community to chat, to physically or verbally chat with them through the phone. So I want to do more of that. I'm glad to hear that those connections were being made.
Yeah, I mean,
and Carlos, so
go ahead.
Berkey is such a salesman. So Rob was introducing himself at the Beans and Dice podcast, and Berkey goes, "Oh yeah, Carlos from Puerto Rico. He bought such and such a mat in this year at Dice Tower. He remembered every detail about that transaction, Carlos, including where you're from."
That's crazy.
So
because that story of me
crazy,
buying that tabletopper was insane. Trying to sneak it home.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Strapping it to the roof of my Ford Focus.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. I remember hearing that story now. I forgot the details until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I know I've been talking for a long time, but I just wanted to give a recap because I got to see the Beans and Dice guys and hope to be around more often here on Thursdays if I can. Miss you guys as well.
I'll send the link every time, and if you're ever available, just pop in like Mike did. Hopefully have your mic working first, and then pop in.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Appreciate it. BJ and I are talking. We wanna come over there sometime if there's a local con happening. Or Rob said just come over on a weekend and we'll make a game weekend out of it. We appreciate him coming down here second time with Dan as well, and we want to come out there and hang out sometime too.
Yeah, we get you guys to come out for a weekend, even if it's not a con weekend. Like we can there's enough people here that are Busch Garden members where you get free tickets. We all go to Busch Gardens for a day, and then game the rest of the weekend.
Sounds good to me. I did that a couple years ago, and Carlos wasn't even sure if I was a murderer or not yet. Let me into his house a couple times.
My wife was like, "Are you sure about this?
He's just
you don't even
hobbit.
you
We're
never
fine."
met this guy."
Yep. Well, you guys have a good rest of the show. Nice catching up, and hope to see you guys soon.
All right, Bobby. Good chatting with you.
Thanks. Yep.
Have a good night.
Sure thing.
Mitchell and I basically took a 2-week hiatus from the podcast, but we'll be back next week. We had obviously last week was Sobo, and then this week it was like I was working like crazy first couple of days, and then Mitchell's probably recovering from Sobo, and then by like Wednesday we realized, oh crap, we forgot to record the podcast this week, so we'll get back to that.
It'll work. It'll be fine. I mean, it's there's busy moments, right? It's how we game. It's how we do.
It is. Yeah, things
None
happen,
of us are paid
so.
professionals. We do this because we love it, and we, this is what we do for fun. Once you make it work, I don't want to do it no more.
Yep. Hopefully, in the next week or two, we can get Dan back on too, because not only was he at Sobo, but he was also at Essen, and I'm really interested to hear like live thoughts on Essen. I know he posted some stuff in the Discord server, but
He didn't care for it.
He
Didn't care for it.
He said it was way too crowded for him, that it was like, herding cattle shoulder to shoulder the entire time. I think that was the part that he really didn't care for. So I don't know how many games he actually got to try out or, demoed or.
And that was like for years, Essen was like on my like bucket list, and it actually came off because like I had a friend of a friend and said similar, and then like they described the difference between Gen Con and Essen is, when you go to demo a game at Gen Con, you play a round or two and then you move on, right? That's it, right? Barcelona is like a new big Euro game. It's big, huge sprawling Euro. You demo it at Gen Con, you do 2 rounds and then you move on, right? You buy it or don't or whatever. But at like Essen, when you demo games, you play the whole game. Like people play, like they don't just do a round or two or just check out the game, like the demo spots. So I even think I heard in the Discord server, Dan said it was like hard to get to demos, and that makes sense. Like, because this is more of a buying thing. And so like they're like the Germans are hardcore, people in Europe are hardcore about like, I'm not gonna buy a game until I played it once, and I'm gonna play the whole game because I want to know how it plays, type thing. So that. Yeah,
so if you get stuck playing a game you don't care for,
right? You're kind of stuck there. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I want to hear more details of like live, because it's always I heard it from a friend of a friend type thing where I'm like, well, I really want to hear like a live person's reaction to what was it really like there, because like as much as I always wanted to go to Essen, I might have to like I've not soured on it, but it's gone down my list of things I want to do.
Yeah,
as far as gaming. Whereas like maybe I just go to Germany, go to Oktoberfest and skip Essen, type thing. So,
Well, speaking of Gen Con, I'm definitely going next year.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Got a hotel and everything?
Taking me for my 50th birthday, so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So a hotel and everything, got tickets, hotel, everything.
They're gonna do an Airbnb. They're like, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" It's like, I don't care, whatever. And they're like, "Well, we were supposed to go in what was it, 2019? We were supposed to go,
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, so it kind of like put the kibosh on that. We've always talked about it since then. So
yeah, we planned it all in 2019 for 2020, and
right, yeah. Right.
We had everything booked.
We had the hotel. We're going to drive up.
Yep. We had it all planned. Dang, man.
I know.
Then the world came to a screeching halt.
Yeah, but
I'm glad you're going to be able to make it. I know that this is going to be your first time too, right? Because it was going to be my first.
Yeah. Are you going next year? Or?
No, I'm keeping it low key when it comes to cons, keeping it local. You know, we're having the 5th edition to the family.
Yeah.
This is the final edition.
Right. Yeah.
I
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
I have like a is it a basketball team? Is it a hockey team? Is that
You got
5?
5.
A 5 plus 1 sub. So
Yeah, there you
basketball
go.
team.
You got 5. There you got a hockey team.
Hockey,
Well, I think it's
basketball,
doctor's
yeah.
orders, though, right? The doctor said no more kids for you.
Yeah, it's not by choice. So you know,
They'll-
adoption's
they'll-
always an option too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they'll adopt.
Yeah,
Come on.
man, that's a definite option. Absolutely.
I'm all about kids, man. I love it. I love.
Yeah.
So because of that, you know, I got to make sure everything's
Gotcha.
money's a thing. Like,
For you telling, dude.
yeah, looking at this last year and kind of actually budgeting through the con stuff, and it's like in the racing, because I do racing, like I take the kids to go camping, and you start really like, wow, there's a lot of this extra spending being done on hobby and fun stuff where it's like, okay, I gotta pick and choose now.
Yeah.
So
Get
Dice
some
Tower
up to,
East and
account dry.
Right. Dice Tower East is going to be a focus. I want to, you know, keep it local if possible. I want to try Necronomicon.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, that one, because that's
It's
super
like literally
local.
5 minutes down the road from you, man. You can
Right.
just come. I'll have a room. It's really just all it is just gaming. It's just there's nothing. We just game. Just set up.
And then, of course, I want to get back into historical cons. Like, I have to make a decision. So where do I spend my money? After being invited to the HMGS Huracan, our buddy Dominic Trischetti sent me tickets for Rob and I to go down there and check it out. I went out there and, you know, I told you, I've shared the story. That's where my first cons were historical gaming cons. And then I got into board gaming from there. I really missed it. I really missed the feel of a small group historical miniatures focused con. So I want to get back to that next year too.
Yeah.
So no Gen Con,
Yeah, as much as I would love to go back to Gen Con's like late July, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's they have like that's like it used to be earlier in July, so it was easier for me to go before I got busy for work. But like literally the end of July and August is just like not gonna happen. And then it came when they moved it a couple of weeks. Because it's been almost 10 years since I've been. So they moved it a couple of weeks. It's so close to Dragon Con, and it's like I have to choose between Dragon Con or Gen Con, and Dragon Con is going to win out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do Dice Tower East and Dragon Con, Necronomicon, and then we're going to do 2 weeks in Japan next year. So that's going to preclude
awesome.
probably other travel. So yeah. So
Are you guys
But
going to
yeah,
do
I'm sorry, what?
our retreat?
You know, if there's tickets available, but probably not because it's gonna be tight. Because
Robert and I talked about it, and we were on the list and got the heads up that the tickets were opening up. But man, the ticket prices are more expensive than Dice Tower East.
Really?
because
Yeah.
it's smaller, because it's smaller people, so they need to make more money per person for that.
But
They're
it's
probably
local
renting
to
out.
them, isn't it? It's
No,
like,
they're moving it up. They're moving
They
it to
moved it back
Orlando.
to Orlando,
oh,
or they added
It's at the-
Orlando.
They moved it to Carib. So the Dice Tower Retreat's now in the Carib as well.
I thought they were holding it in Miami still.
They did this year, and so they were in Carib 2 years ago, back down in Miami this year. 4 years ago it was in Miami, then it was back at the Carib during like the pandemic. Probably to make
After
up.
because it shut down, the first thing they
Shut down.
reopened with was the retreat after pandemic. And that's when
In
Rob
the
and I
Carib.
went, because that was the
Gotcha.
first event they did post pandemic. And then they went back to Miami, and now they're saying, hey, we want to go back to Orlando. Let us know if you're interested. We said, yeah, well, let us know. And then we got the prices, and I'm like, I
Not
don't know,
so
that's a bit
interested
steep.
anymore.
Well, because
Yeah.
I think it's
No, I hear
is it November, October?
Something like that for the
Oh, it's
price.
close
Better
to
off doing the
holidays.
Carib. Yeah.
But it's not too far off from Dice Tower East, so it's like back to back.
Oh, yeah, that too. True.
Yeah.
No, I
And
get it.
Dice Tower East is summertime, so everyone's off of school. We don't have to worry about school and kids and all that other stuff. So
Yep,
I'm
ended up deciding
all in.
I had to pick
Dice
between
Tower
one.
East,
I
man.
went Dice Tower East will be the one.
Because there's more of us there. Like I think the problem with the retreat is it would be limited, right? There's only a couple hundred people.
Right.
Whereas Dice Tower East is 2,000, 1,800 people, and you're going to get 30 or 40 of our group there. I mean, I was sold this year. I'm a Dice Tower East convert, not convert, but I'm just going. That's my jam.
Right, and Dice Tower East is when school is off, whereas the retreat is when school is on.
Right.
So that whole family vacation piece is taken away. So that's where that retreat is made for a certain group of folks. Dad with small kids, probably not that person because it's with school and whatnot.
I do think probably not early 2024 or maybe even late 2024, probably 2025 at this time. Is I think we as a group, just sort of beans and dice, should just book a cruise, get like 10 or 15 rooms on a cruise ship, get discounted rate, and then just all go on a cruise instead of going on a specific like Dice Tower or BGG cruise or one of those. And then if everyone brings 3 or 4, everyone just brings 3 or 4 games, you get unlimited carry-ons and stuff.
That's true.
If everyone brings 3 or 4 games, Christ, I could bring 15 tiny epic games.
I like the idea of the food. I'm not too certain about being on the water.
You'll be fine.
Those
man.
big cruise ships are fine. So I'd love to do something like that.
You'll be good.
Well, we were going to pull up recent plays in the Discord to see what other folks have been playing. But before we do that, Mike, any recent, because Wayne and I went through our recent plays and recent hauls. Anything from you?
Well, funny thing is I'm using my phone for my camera, so I can't pull up. I can't pull up my recent plays on my phone. Let me see if I can remember anything that was memorable. What's the
camera? Your phone's got a good camera, bro.
Oh, thanks. What's the one game that Simon just announced that they're going to do the remake of? It's kind of like Cthulhu. Kind of takes place in the. It looks like it takes place in
not Death May Die, right? That's not.
No. Anyway, it was a remake from an older game, and I'm selling it really well here. I played that
memorable.
Recently. Yeah, the what's the other new one? The Zoo. This is making for some great.
Not Zoo Tycoon. That one.
No,
that one's not out yet, right?
I'm gonna have to pull up my browser.
Then there's
you guys
Arc
talk
Nova.
about whatever while I pull this.
Zombicide White Death. Did they?
That
Kickstarter. That's from September. Nope. All right. I'm just searching news on Simon. So. No. So while you're pulling it up, that's like those are all your expansion boxes you've hung on the wall, right? Is that kind of your art project?
Yeah, either expansion boxes or there's like the one box here, Lawyer Up, where I got the second series and then everything fits in that box. So I kind of got rid of. So I basically, dropped that box. But yeah, it's all expansion box lids.
So how did you?
What do you think of the new art?
You guys are gonna probably
Take
cringe when I tell you this. I was trying to figure out how am I gonna fix all these, because I really wanted the difference. Like I wanted the depth difference between all the different lids, so it kind of like casted shadows and I kept thinking, well, I could probably tape them together, and that may fall apart. I was like, screw it, and I just stapled them all together. I laid them all out on the floor, figured it out how I wanted it, and then I just started stapling them together, and then stuck a couple of nails in the wall and just hung them. And that's basically how it turned out.
You kind of see back here is
you cut the lids off, and
I I just ripped all the lids off and then just kind of collaged them together inside of a frame. So
yeah,
Battlestar Galactica.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
You tore up that box?
One of the expansion boxes, yeah. I have all 3 expansions in the base box, and I don't keep expansion boxes. I tear them up. So I actually have a stack of expansion box lids. I tear the boxes apart and just keep the top, because my goal is to create several more of these, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But I like the box thing. I like that because you kept the boxes intact, basically, so you could kind of reuse them, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I don't
after you staple them all.
I hold on to a few here and there because, for the This War of Mine, I've got like everything for it. That was one of my first I think that was my first board game Kickstarter that I backed, and there's no way to fit everything in that base box. So I basically took my scythe box, because I've got the the big side box that I moved everything into. So I put all my this War of Mine stuff in the side base box basically, and it fits perfect with I made like an insert for it.
Nice.
So I was just like, I'm going to toss these. What can I do with them? Because I feel bad about just chucking them,
Yeah.
trying to get something.
You live in Seattle. It's recyclable.
Well, right. I mean, when I say
you get fined if you don't
in the
recycle
bin. So I was just like, what can I do? And I was like, I'll try this and see what it looks like.
Nice.
Turned out pretty
cool.
well, I think. So,
Yeah, I like it. And then how did you attach the whole thing? You stapled them all together, but you just attached it with the wall with like
I just put it like I held it up on the wall, and then I kind of penciled out where a couple of the corners were, and then I just put like 2 or 3 nails in the wall, and it all lined up, and it just sits right in there like that. So
nice. I like
Make it sound easy. Looks good too.
Especially
with that light.
Yeah, you really can't. It's hard to tell the depth when you're looking at it straight on. But like I even did. There's a couple of Too Many Bones boxes up there, like the smaller ones, and on the inside of the lids, they actually did art on the inside. So I've actually got a couple of them flipped backwards, so you can see the art on the inside instead of.
You can put some of the minis in there.
Art. What's that?
You can set some of the minis in those the Too Many Bones flipped in.
I was thinking about like even trying to get some LED lights, somehow like around the perimeter of it, or trying to think of something like that. But
I think art lamps they make. I think IKEA sells them too, like battery powered or rechargeable art display lamps that would go on the wall and kind of shine light down.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Just to fill in the lighting up in that top left corner.
Yeah, that would definitely work.
Hey, here you go. Home decor with beans and dice.
But it's interesting.
Get some Swedish meatballs.
But that's like, as like Carlos has not seen my full game room yet, but like my wife is like, our game room is our front dining room. Like we never use a formal dining room anymore, so we turn it into a game room. But she's like, the one thing I don't want is Calic shelves with all the games facing out. So I bought the best of shelves that have the doors and like.
Right.
But we have all this kind of art on the wall in our front room that is nerd like, but it's not full on nerd. It's like hidden nerd, right? So it's like as you try to like. Yeah, it's like semi-nerd. But it's kind of like the new, like, how do you take a game room or your house and have it look good, but also express the fact that you're a geek and a nerd and love board games, and like that's kind of cool, and like this thing here, and then like stuff like that. So it's always fun to look at it. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, Mike. Recent plays for you. We haven't done yours.
Zoo Vadis. That was the one I was trying to think.
Zoo what?
That's the one that Mike DeLisio always talks about.
Yeah, this. I think we played it a couple of times at my friend's house. He had just gotten the deluxe edition of it, and it's kind of like negotiation. You're trying to move your animals. It's asymmetrical powers as well, so you're like moving your animals through this zoo, trying to get them to the end. But then there's like zookeepers that you can block people, and all the animals have like really pretty cool, unique powers, and you can bargain with people. So it's like, if you can, like one animal may allow you to occupy an area that's already full. So you could say, hey, look, if you can bring me into this area, I'll give you 2 coins. And then, the next time you need something, I can burrow through the ground and I can bring you over here. So there's a lot of negotiation going on. And it plays really quick. Like I was surprised how fast it played. I'm looking at it on BGG. It says 20 to 40 minutes. That's very accurate. And I think we played with either 4 or 5 players. I can't remember, but it'll play up to 7 people. It's a pretty cool game. I'm trying to think of the other one that.
Yeah, I know that I know Mike. I said Mike Delisio from the Dice Tower has talked about this a bunch. It's been on a bunch of his top tens in like the last year. Like it says the release year is 2023, so he must have had it early or something. But it looked. I mean, the meeples look kind of cool. It's all these like Adam meeples.
Oh yeah, they're
chunky
like
too,
really
right?
chunky. And then the chips there that you have pulled up, they're not quite as big as like a iron clay, but they're probably. Oh, that's another game that just popped into my mind. Federation. They're about that size, but they're like a nice thick, plasticky, chip that has a little bit of weight to it.
And it's like asymmetrical powers. Like, does each animal have
Very
different powers?
asymmetrical.
Okay.
Yeah,
that looks cool.
So the other game that I don't know if I've mentioned, I can't remember the last time I was on, but Federation by the same guys that like published all the. Sorry, I'm trying to look and see who it is. Like Escape Plan and anyways, it's coming.
I played this one at Dice Tower East. Yeah,
dude, I love this game. Like you think that sometimes what you're deciding on what to do, like when you're making your votes or you're funding, by placing out your voting tokens, you're thinking, oh, it's not going to really matter all that much, but there is like a very tough decision at times. Like if I choose to fund this, then so-and-so may get more points out of it. But if I do fund it, then I can take an extra action. And this whole, voting system.
With the rows and columns, like the Imperial Senate type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this whole Senate. So you've got the levels of the Senate, and then you've got the columns for the funding, and then you've got the left and right for the laws that you're going to be passing. Have you said you played this? What did you think of it?
So I will say this. I don't think my play was good. I came away from the game not liking it.
Okay.
But as I've talked to people who have played it several times, including you just now, I definitely feel like we played some things wrong because it was in the hot game session at Dice Tower East, and I played it, and the gentleman came over and was like, "Oh, I know how to play this. I'll teach you guys." And he taught us, and then I don't know, like the green stuff at the top here,
right,
which are like the laws or whatever. Like they didn't really come into play as much as they should have, and so like all of us just kind of concentrated on the planet exploration and the character exploration, and then like the comet thing over here. And then so I feel like the teach, we missed a couple of rules.
Okay.
Because I think the issue with this game is you have like 5 areas on the board where you're trying to explore or move up the track to then score a ton of points, right? And then you have in the center you have this Imperial Senate where you're voting and you're looking for control left or right for victory points. I just feel like there was something missing from the teach that caused it to not be as enjoyable as it should have been. So I can see where this is a cool game. There's a lot going on because there's like I said, you said there's 5 or 6 different areas where you're trying to score points, and then there's the voting in the center, and there's laws and all this other stuff. Yeah, a little bit. And so I feel like the teach wasn't. The gentleman was a nice guy, and I played Earth with him previously, and he taught Earth pretty well. I think he missed a couple of big rules or a couple of things that we just didn't understand how they worked. But the game was kind of cool. I enjoyed it. The production value was really crazy. But go ahead, go back to you now. So I think I would like this game with another play, but that first play was kind of like, but I think it was rules missing.
Yeah, I was going to say it took me a couple of times of playing it to actually get the rules down because the first time I tried playing it with Dan when he was here, and it was just kind of like, we got about halfway through and I was like, let's just pack this up, man. Like I'm missing something. Something
really
just wasn't clicking for us. And then we watched like a playthrough or like a how-to, and we're like, oh, okay, well, we missed this rule and that rule. And, and then...
First time we heard of this game was through friend of the show, designer Mahir Shah, called in. He had gone to a convention and he talked about his play of it, and he was just all over it. Loved it. He was loving it.
Go ahead.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4,
and
5,
the green ones.
and the green
The
is
green
really
is
two
all
different
one,
areas.
so you have 5
Yeah, it's
different.
all one, but it's kind of like two different things. So you got like 6 different areas where you're trying to like work up tracks to score points, and then you have the sort of the Senate here in the center where you have left and right, and then it goes by columns and rows. I think what we didn't understand was how these get impacted and move up. Like they
So
didn't move up nearly as much as we thought they would.
right, so the first part of each round is you have these 4 voting. I forget what they call them, but they're like voting chips, right? So they have a vote power of 1, 1, 2, and 3, and they're double sided. So you can either choose to put it out on the voting side, which means that you're putting votes toward the not only the law per side, because every round they kind of like change out. So it could be if you look like down towards the bottom of the Senate, where those two look, yeah, right, exactly. So those are the 2 laws that are going to be voted on for that round. So what that means is every one of those is going to be 2 times wherever you are on the track for that planet. So in that picture that you're showing there, you got the yellow on the left, and it looks like the orange one on the right. So you're trying to, if you're further up on a track on one of those 2 planets, of course you're trying to cast votes because you want more points by the end of that round for that particular planet. But if you forego that and you flip to the other side of the chip, now you're funding the project in that column. So at the top of each one of those columns is a project that you're trying to fund. And a little, chit will move around until it gets to the very end, because by the end of the game, if that project isn't funded, nobody's going to get points for it. So you're kind of, and again, it's dictating like 1 per planet, and then there's like a joint one that is a little bit other rules. But the fact that you are trying to like, you're like, okay, well, I'm really far ahead on the pink. I really want this project to fund, but if I place a vote over here, it's going to benefit me with the points on this side. But that's just half of it, because at the end of every round, then you go by column or you go by row on who had the most votes in that row, and then you're getting points that way. And then you go per column to fund your projects, and then total votes per side to pass the laws. But if you fund, then you have your own personal board that you actually get to take a second action, possibly a second action, if you have like the 3 things that you need in order to make another move. So you're basically you possibly can make 2 moves on a track per planet or something like. I'm not really explaining all that well, but you'd be able to take a second
Neither did the rule book, apparently.
track.
Yeah, it looks very pretty. It looks like the artwork is very like not chibi, but it's very colorful, and it kind of
Very
looks
colorful.
like it shouldn't be this difficult, but it's a pretty heavy game. Like it's a pretty thick, little things. Because there's a lot of like asymmetry where if you go up here, then you get bounced here, then you go there, and things like that. And I feel like we kind of screwed up the Senate vote. Maybe either we all were putting down votes all the time and not flipping it around to fund the projects, or we didn't quite understand how the projects fund and missed moving that, because by the end of the game, like none of the projects funded like in our game. So I was like, something
really?
definitely not.
Hey, sounds like our government.
like
Nothing passes. We're all just gonna show up, vote present.
So other than that, I've been playing a ton of Aurum, which is a trick taker. Pandasaurus put it out, and from my first play, this possibly could even be better than Nokosu dice for me.
How do you spell?
Aurum, I think. Aurum. UM.
Yep, there we go. Okay. That's the problem. Is 3,000 games come out a year. Everything's going to spell a little different.
So this is a little trick taker, $15 locally at your local board game store. And it's a must not follow trick taker. And there's 5 suits. I can already see Carlos he's like, what? So there's 5
Must not follow.
Yeah, it's a must not follow. So there's technically 6 suits, but you're playing with 5. And there's also an additional suit. And you can see the gold cards on the table. So the gold cards, there's like 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, a 4, 5, all the way through 8. And what you're trying to do is you're playing teams. So it's a 4-player game. It's you and the person sitting across from you. You're the team. So when you deal out all the cards, what you're going to do at the very beginning is you're going to basically bet how many tricks you think your team is going to win for the round, basically playing all your cards.
Very
so
hearts-like.
so you take a card from your hand and with the number on it of the number of tricks that you think you're going to win. Everybody does this, and you put it down on the table. Once you do that, you flip it over. Whatever the highest number is between you and your partner, that's going to be your bet for that game, for that round. So you have that set. And then what you're trying to do is it's the best 2 out of 3, like total rounds. After you've dealt all the cards out, that's 1 round after you play them all. So the way the game works is, again, it's a must not follow. So, whatever you play, somebody else can play any other suit except for the one that you played. And it goes around like that. Whoever put the highest card down wins the trick, like a typical trick taker. If it's a tie, it's whoever put that number down last. They would win the trick. But also...
Last, not first?
Pardon?
The last player to play that
Correct.
number? So
Correct.
they just got to match you. They don't have to beat you.
If everybody, let's say everybody put 8s down, whoever put the 8 down last, they're going to win the trick.
Really?
Yes.
It feels weird, but carry on.
Also, whoever put the lowest card down for that round gets the equivalent number of the gold card that's on the table. So the gold cards have a value of 1 through 3, and they count as points towards the end of round points that you play, right? So if let's say I played a 6, you played a 5, Wayne played a 7, and then somebody played a 4. The 4 would be the lowest card, so they would get the 4 gold card off the table. And if you played the lowest card and the gold card isn't on the table, well, then you don't get anything. All right. So the gold cards can count as points towards the end of the game. Or if you, at any time, as long as so you can see the little sun symbols on the cards, on the gold cards, that's the point value of them, not the numeric value that's on the face of the card, but the point value.
So the power is the number, the points are the sunburst.
Pardon? Correct. So those will count as points towards the end of the game. So I'll come back to what the gold cards will do. So at the end of the round, after everybody's played, if you hit your, let's say you bet that you're gonna win 5 tricks. Let's say you won 5 tricks. Well, you get 10 points for that round. It's double your points, whatever you bet. If you go over it, it's 1 point per trick that you won. So if you bet 5 and let's say you won 6 tricks, you get 6 points. If you're under it, you get 0 points. But then you count the gold cards toward your points as well. So technically you can come in under, but if you had so many gold cards, you could technically still win that round. But also, while you're playing, in between your tricks, so before anybody plays a card, you can turn in one of your gold cards and change the bet that you made. So let's say I had a 5 on the table, and let's say that was our team's bet, and we only had like 2 tricks, and let's say there's only 2 more rounds left. We know we're not going to get the 5, but I've got a 3 in my hand. I can put the gold card back. I'll pick up the 5 card, put the 3 down, and now that's the new bet for that round. So we have a good chance of hitting that with only 2 rounds left of hitting the 3 tricks. So it's this balancing act of, do I take the points off the gold card, or do I turn it back in to get even more points by hitting our number exactly? And This game is so everybody that I've played it with that plays Trick Takers, they absolutely love this game. Highly recommend it, especially since it's $15 locally. Like, now I'm not talking about like an Amazon price. I'm talking about in your local board game store. It's like $15.
So I like the interesting of don't follow. It's don't follow suit, but you're looking at numbers. So it's like you play with a deck of cards. You have spades, diamonds, hearts. You're not trying to lead with the same suit. You're trying to not do. And so if you're playing a 4-player game and there's 5 suits, you generally should be able to do that.
And if it gets to the point where you can't not follow, the round ends.
Okay. Oh, so an early end to the round.
Correct.
If somebody get jammed up and can't not follow, not follow, yes, that
can't not follow. Yes,
can't not follow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the interesting thing with the high-low card a bit, per hand or per go per trick, if everybody played an 8, the 8 is technically the high and low card. So you could win the trick and get the 8 gold card.
Oh. Yeah, so if 8 is never the low, then that gold card is out there, and that's pretty rough to get because if 8's the highest, right?
It's pretty hard to get an 8.
Pretty hard to get card. Yeah. Okay. So usually it's the 1s, 2, 3, 4 that goes. Okay.
So sometimes you want to throw the load card down just to get that gold card into your pile. You don't care about winning the trick, I'll take the gold card.
Which then gives you the option to change your bid mid-game, which is huge. That's powerful right there.
And I've played around where somebody hit their number on their bet and somebody else didn't get any points off of the number of tricks that they won, but they had enough gold points to actually win the round.
Wow.
So it's very cool. It's a very cool trick taker.
Nice. Seems pretty cool.
It's got a lot of similarities to like Hearts with the bidding. I like the team play aspect, but I can see this one having to take a few rounds of play to start to kind of understand it, so then I can actually play for play to win.
Once you play
struggled teaching it.
Once you play 2 tricks, you've caught on. If you know trick takers, if you don't play trick taking games, it's definitely a little bit of a I need to play this a little bit more. Just like with any trick taker, somebody that when they trying to get the trump thing in their head and
I like that extra suit that sits on the table. I like being able to throw off a low card because you got that fight for, hey, my teammate's going to go ahead and capture the win. I'm going to go ahead and try to throw low to be able to capture the gold card to get the power. So I almost feels like a race to get those.
And so the tiebreaker to win the trick is the last one to play that card. Is that similar? Like, so Carlos and I both try to throw off and throw our ones out there.
Whoever threw the one last.
That's interesting.
Right.
That's why the player who all 8s not only wins the trick, but also wins the 8. I understand it now. So that's a weird thing. Like most games, it's usually the first player to play that number. Mm-hmm. Someone's got to beat it. Otherwise, they become the one that wins that hand or round or whatever because they played it first. It's very flip of the norm to say
the last
person
to
play it.
Like 4-player game and Carlos, you go right before me and you throw the 1 out to try to win that 1 gold card, and I've got a 1 also. Well, I'm going to throw it out because now I take it from you.
Right.
The other thing is you can play the gold cards as trump cards. I forgot to mention that. So you can also, and you can, and because if you can play a card, you have to play it. So if you can force
have the gold card in there,
play their trump card, they put the gold card back in the middle. And it stays out for the next person that could possibly take it. Because, like I said, I think there's only 2 or 3 like 1s, 2 or 3 2s, and so on. But once those numbers are gone, like let's say all the 1s have been taken, all the gold ones. If somebody played a 1 next round and there isn't one out there, you don't get a gold card.
Get it? Okay. So it's like the first.
So it's also trying to, if you go last,
what's available.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
You want to be the first one to get some of those gold cards that are lower numbers because you want to stick people with low numbers that don't do anything for them in the benefit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. So this seems like on the gold cards seems real strong because you got 3 ways you can use that. You
Yep.
can hang on to it for points towards the end of the game.
Right.
You can use it as a way to change your bid, and then you're also using it as a trump. suit.
Yep.
So that's a lot of decision space on those cards right there.
The whole idea of the last person winning, does this make it more of a cutthroat game than some of the? I mean, trick takers are cutthroat in general, but like this seems like it's even more like I'm gonna cut you.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I never looked at it that way. It's definitely
Easier
one
to
of those
cut you.
games. There's a huge benefit for going last. If you're to the right of the person that won the trick the last round, you're at a huge advantage, possibly because if you're getting low on cards in your hand, then you have less suits. So it could be on you that you end the game sooner than what you want. Whereas if you're closer to the guy setting the suit or playing a suit, you have more options in your hands in order to keep the round going.
And the don't follow. So if the three of us in a game and another player, Carlos leads out, I'm second. I can't copy his suit. You're third. You can't copy either
one of your suits.
either. So
Yes.
okay, wow, yeah. So there's only 5 suits in 4 players.
Correct.
Plus the gold. So yeah, that's really tight. Okay. Yeah.
Numbers
not
1
just-
through 10 per suit.
It's not just don't follow me as the person who went right before you. It's don't follow anyone who came before you.
Correct.
Oof. Yeah, that's real tight.
Which I think is going to end up having to draw out those trumps, right? Because we're all going to start with 4 suits for the most part. Our hands should have at least some of each
At
of the 4
least
suits,
4, yeah. I
right?
mean, I've seen
And
some
then
weird things happen.
Is it 5 plus this
It's
gold?
5 suits plus the gold.
So we're all going to have maybe 5 suits, but that gold one, that's the one that most aren't going to have. Most aren't going to be playing. So you're going to pull those out of me just because I have to play it. Like I don't have an option. I have to play this.
Right.
And that's when I
between
stab
you
you.
and your teammate, you can't play you can't use one of your teammates' gold cards. Like it has to be on your side.
Your gold. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that seems cool. I mean, I do like. I did play a crap ton of spades and hearts and stuff, and haven't quite taken. Trick taking is kind of in a renaissance now. It's like there's a lot of trick taking games that come out in the last couple of years.
Man. And
But
then
most of these conversations that we have about trick taking games don't go this deep. Like I feel like we've gone. I wrote it down. We started at 1 hour 28 minutes in. We're 1 hour 42 minutes in. So we're talking. I mean, that's over 10 minutes plus of just talking about this game and the different strategies and play. It sounds like it's worth. This is definitely worth a try, if not a buy at $15.
especially for $15, man. And then if you don't like it, I mean, it's a small box. It's a little tiny box, so it's not taking up a bunch of shelf space. And if you needed to get rid of it, you could say, hey, $10 for a good trick taker.
Yeah.
Just in the last 10, 12 minutes of us talking about it, we're just trying to figure out strategy. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm peaked.
Yeah.
Chester Wilson in the chat says he's been playing Seas of Strife recently with the original rules. Very family-friendly trick taker. Not familiar with that one. I know Mike's our resident trick taker expert. Nope, no Seas of Strife for Mike.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm always interested to learn about new ones, though.
That's why I have you on the show. You're the one that tells us about all the new trick takers.
Yeah.
It's no Nikosu dice.
Mike would disagree. I know.
I'd say they're very close. They're very close to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. The only issue with trick takers is you generally need a good group, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
It's hard to teaching somebody a trick taker the first time. They're gonna be like, whatever, and yeah, you got to get that 4 group that you've been playing with a bunch, because usually trick takers end up being 2-on-2, little like kind of group thing. So
yeah,
it's good, very cool. We might have to find a copy of that and give it a try, Carlos, because I know you like trick takers.
Yes. It's just not too complex, but I think I figured it out. Like, and Mike, you saw my face when you started explaining it. Like, I was like, "Oh, I'm out."
You're like, what? Well, as soon as I said
out.
this will follow, you're like, huh?
Yeah, it's like the stages of grief. Like it's like acceptance, understanding. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in.
And now I'm in. Like now, okay, now it makes sense. It took a little while, but it makes sense. I did want to go through, because I meant to do it last week, but we got back-to-back phone calls the whole time. I wanted to go through the recent on the tables of our Beans and Dice folks in our community. So I was going to share the Discord, and we have a channel in there called On the Table Recent Plays, and kind of go through since it's been a little while. We'll go back a couple weeks. On the table, here's Wayne right off the bat, getting a little D-Day dice action going in. I know we talked about that.
Axis and Allies D-Day. It's a good one.
Let's see here. Then we get Captain Gamer, also known as our friend Chris from Austin, Texas. I believe Austin. He's leaving his Deliverance. So
did you back that, Carlos?
I did. I got to get with Dan to grab my copy. He did the retail.
Yeah.
In the chat, we got Chad Stilson saying, "What's good?" Did you get it, Mike?
No, I didn't. I think this came out around the time where I started slowing down on back and stuff.
Let's see. Kenneth Fly, he also got it. He talked about enjoying playing it. I remember that.
Nice.
Bowser out of Maryland, if I remember correctly, getting some Tuscany in, which I just got a copy of Tuscany we talked about it last week on the Prime sale. I got it for $15, a copy of the Tuscany expansion.
You've come over to the bright side.
Well, I bought it. Doesn't mean I'm going to play it.
Yes, yes.
$15.
Wow.
In my world, we only have 2 seasons. I don't need all 4 seasons to play the game. No, I do want to. I was reading the rule book for it. I want to play it. I want to get it back to the table.
I really, really wish they would get the 4-season version, the Tuscany version on VGA, because I love viticulture and I played a bunch on VGA, and I'm so tired of the 2 seasons. I really need the 4-season.
And that's part of what I liked about this box setup, this Essentials edition of Tuscany. It doesn't give you everything. It's only 11 special worker reference cards. I remember when we played it at Dice Tower Retreat.
Yeah, you have
Dice Tower
different
East.
special workers.
I think it was Retreat. It was a ton of stuff in that set. And that's part of what turned me off about it.
Still in the shrink. What's up with that, man?
Oh, because I just got it last week. Working on it.
Giving you crap.
Chad Stilson says, I love seeing your Beans and Dice t-shirts out in the wild. You mind if I make a shameless plug for my board game themed shirts? No, because Chad actually posted some of his shirts in the Discord. So Chad, throw them back up there in the bling and upgrades. Remember, he did that last time. I was going through some of those shirts that he has. Very nerdy, very nice designs. Throw them up in there. I'm all about shameless plugs. Keeping going down. Let's see. Dev, 88, Saturday morning, chopping heads with some old school guillotine. That's a throwback.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Throwback.
Does it come with the little guillotine? Is that normal?
Not the copy I have.
He might have 3D printed his own little guillotine just to get real themey.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I've never played it.
Taught me that one.
Rafted?
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah, good guy.
That one's been around a while.
Definitely. All right, what else you got?
How do I close this one out? There we go. That got me out.
There you go.
Michigal playing some First Ascent.
That one looks cool. So
And
that's
this
the
one
one
that
that
Mitchell talked about with like little strings.
Yes. You're mountain climbing and you have to lay the strings out to you're doing your lines. Like as they climb mountains, they use the little pitons, whatever they call them, to nail in and the ropes and stuff. So you're building your trek up the mountain face. That looks cool, man. I like that.
It was supposedly designed by a mountain climber. So it's supposed to be very on point, very accurate.
Yep. I like when they get those kind of those themes that you just have never seen.
Yeah.
And you can dig it even though you don't, you can almost say okay, now I understand what mountain climbers go through, right? You can get a little glimpse of their mind,
Yeah.
It's
I live my life vicariously through others.
Yeah.
I don't who was it? Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson? Somebody said it. There are 2 types of people. There's astronauts and there's astronomers. Astronomers stay safe on Earth looking at that stuff. And then astronauts are the ones that go out there and do the dangerous stuff. I'm an astronomer.
That
I'll stay right here on the ground.
That sounds like him.
Kyle Jeeves, Mr. Jeeves, Kyle, aka from Chi-Town, playing some Arkham. This is Arkham
This is a
Horror,
card game. The
the card game
LCG.
that Rob and Dan play a ton of.
Yep.
Sammy, I am
Lorenzo.
getting some Lorenzo, Mike's namesake. Kyle talked about these last week, didn't he? He called in and talked about all these plays and how much he loved them.
Yeah,
Thunder Road Vendetta.
I'm still kind of. I don't know what. I don't know if it's the group I played with, but I've played it twice now, and I'm just kind of like, it's all right.
you have to go in just with pure utter chaos in your mind.
Well, and I do. I mean, I understand what kind of game it is. I'm not expecting, huge amounts of strategy. I'm looking to play it like, Dan would play it, like chaos.
That's how Dan plays everything.
I'm going for the hazard just to see what happens,
That's literally what I said. I played at Dice Tower East with Ron and Sam and another guy, and I looked at Sam. I'm like, I am dead in this game. I give her like an eyes look, and she's like, oh god.
Yeah.
The pieces look great. Chris Yee did a video about this, and what was cool is at the end of the game, he did mention, for those that don't want to buy this big old honking game, you can play kind of a cooperative style version of it in the Fast and Furious game from Ravensburger that you can find at Target. Thanks to our man Ron Frazier, we have a copy here in the Beans and Dice studio, so that got me itching to play that one. Cool. It has a lot of he says a lot of the feels. Chris E does a lot of the feels that you get from Thunder Road Vendetta. You can get from Fast and Furious at a much cheaper price and cooperative. So you're playing it more cooperative. Okay, family. Yeah, I'll get some Coronas. We can sit. Jodak playing
after
Voidfall.
6 movies.
Yeah, we'll be in space by movie 6.
Voidfall.
Voidfall. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a big Kickstarter game, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I'm very interested to see, because I have no idea how it plays or what the mechanics are or mechanisms.
Isn't it based on a video game IP? I feel like there's a video
sounds
game
about right. That Voidfall sounds like a video game.
Yeah.
Then we get Captain Gamer in here. He called in last week, talked about Namiji. So here's some images for you folks of his play of Najimi, which is a
Takenoko.
Takenoko.
Tokaido. It's a Tokaido. No, not Tokaido.
Tokaido re-implementation or kind of a redo as a fishing game. This one interests me. I love the art. I love the art style. Kind of reminds me of a Smartphone Ink. That very
clean.
Yes.
White.
Yeah. I feel like he almost got us last week, Carlos. He almost got us ordering the game on Amazon.
$25 on Amazon. Like
I was close.
The funny thing is last week's show is so fresh in my mind because I was listening to it today while I was driving, and you two guys, man, you were just like, Carlos was like, I got to close this window or else I'm going to buy it.
Well, because the last time he called in was Expeditions or Footsteps of Darwin.
Footsteps of Darwin.
Right. And you guys bought it.
The next day, Wayne and I both had bought it.
Yeah. I bought it on the show live. I literally had purchased it, and it's a great game. The only reason why I didn't pull the trigger on this is I already own Tokaido with all the expansions, and I feel like I know this is different, has some different rules, but I'm like, it's too similar, and I'm not going to get rid of Tokaido, so I didn't buy this.
The whole filling in the grid, though, that sounds very interesting.
That does.
With the tiles to score.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually very similar to Footsteps of Darwin too.
I like the mosaic aspect, the whole filling in that mosaic. Like I feel like this would be good for my ADD. There's a lot of places you're trying to work on, so I feel like even if I don't win the game, I feel like I did a lot.
Right, you made pretty paintings.
I made pretty paintings. That's Najimi. Let's see here. Kyle's in here. Oh, that's the other one that Mr. Jeeves talked about, the Ghostbusters version of Zombicide 2nd Edition. Sam's in here with some Imhotep.
I like that one. Phil Walker Harding, praise be.
Hilarious and mean. That is a great way to describe Imhotep. I know we've played a lot on BGA as well, and it still brings out laughs whenever we take something or send a ship somewhere where somebody does not want it to go. That's a great feeling.
On Mars.
On Mars, Lacerda. Green team wins. That's been a hit in our house.
Also, Rico, another recent acquisition for me. I bought Green Team Wins.
You got it.
Yep, I got it. So
with your copy and my copy, now we have enough for 12 people.
Yep.
Using actual components. Let's see here. Dark Tower, baby. Ron Fraser gave it the beans today.
Yeah.
Appreciate. I'm loving that when folks call in and give it the beans.
Old school Eldritch Horror.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
I got rid of that game, man. That game is so punishing, and it's so hard to get to the table, and it's so long.
Yep.
Here's me this weekend. Here's some heat.
Woo!
Up in Atlanta, Georgia, when I was up for the races. Both players that I taught knew. Actually, all three players were new. Loved it and want to do the campaign.
Oh,
So
nice.
I know I've taught Downforces, the same group of players, and this one just hands down beat Downforce for them.
Did you teach them Thunder Alley yet?
No, we did not do Thunder Alley. Oh, actually, no. My son, yes, he did not like it. My middle boy did not like. I know, dumb kids.
No, but like Downforce is just not good.
It's not. It's not bad.
It's just it has a huge run. You have to do the variant to not have a runaway leader.
Chris says heat pedal to the metal for the win. I agree.
Yep. I agree.
He's still trying to get us to buy a copy of Shelfie Stacker.
I know he's trying.
He said, "I'm. You know what? It's on my wish list. I just haven't moved it to the cart yet. It's there, and then it's still worth picking up.
Namiji, he missed a J in there. I think.
I thought it was my English. Meadow downstream expansion. I just could not get into Meadow.
I want to play that game so bad, man.
Yeah.
Everybody raves about it. What did you like about it?
I don't. I felt limited with the selection. I felt like the theme really didn't come across.
Okay.
It felt very more abstract than the theme. I see where they tried to connect the dots, like this thing eats this thing, and then you lay it on top. But you need some of these things to feed this thing to get. Like I see where they're headed, but it just didn't click.
Gotcha.
Sea salt and paper. I keep hearing about this one on different places.
It's also
is this Pandasaurus? Pandasaurus as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, they localized it. Yeah.
That's the one that you were just talking about, Mike.
Well, they did Aurum, yeah.
Aurum, that's the word. I'm adding too many syllables. That's also Pandasaurus.
Yes.
So 2 hot new card games from Pandasaurus. Look at that. This is a good one. Captain Gamer Archaeology. I remember playing this one at Your Turn at a game day. This one's a fun one. You're collecting different sets of different artifacts, but if you have too much stuff in your hand and a sandstorm hits, you lose half your stuff. So it's kind of a push your luck, like how much can I collect before I lay it all down? But then a sandstorm will take it all away. There's robbers, and I believe it's Phil Walker Harding. Praise be. For somebody say that.
Ferenzi.
Not familiar with that one. Anybody familiar with that?
I don't know.
I am not familiar with that.
That is also Chris Vincent in the chat. Chris got a great idea there. Somebody send Carlos a copy of Shelfie Stacker for Christmas. Love it. Great idea. Support this.
Reach out to Shem Phillips for a demo, a copy. We'll broadcast it on the show. Now that looks like some. Yeah, I do want to play BattleTech,
and especially the new version. They came out with a version this year.
Yeah,
with all the units are on cards. Everything's grid based. It's like just here, pick some mechs and go to war.
Yeah, I did love me some Mech Warrior back in the day, so I would love an opportunity to play kind of mechs and stuff. So yeah.
I keep picking it up and putting it back down when I'm at Armada. I pick up the box and then I put it back down. White Castle. I keep hearing a lot about this one. I see a lot of content coming up on the YouTubes.
Yeah, that was big on Essen Preview. Everyone was talking about it. Looks really cool.
But nothing. Dev 88. post back in there. Let us know what you thought. Let's see here. Bowser with some. Is that Champions? Is that what I'm seeing?
Marvel Champions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of all mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I got a lot of it, too.
And then some cluster. I've seen this one before with the. Those are the magnets that you see for sale, like at most museums, or kids' toy stores. All those magnets you can buy like by the pound. And then someone just added a string, threw it in a box, and called it a game.
And how do you play?
Well, you're trying to put these magnets down onto the table without them
having them click to another
click
magnet.
together. When they click, you're losing points and stuff, and you kind of just throw the string down, and then you're putting the magnets down in there. So somebody figured out how to turn what was Mosey, gift shop.
Kids playing with magnets too.
Into a board game. Mad props to people that do that stuff.
Yeah.
But that is our Beans and Dice Discord on the table recent plays. If you want your games highlighted of what you've played, definitely post them up in here. You can type in a little, give it the beans if you want. Give us the beans in here. And we'll read it off as we share these on the channel, and then we'll see if here's some bling and upgrades. And then shameless plugs, I think, is where we found some T-shirts. There it is. I'll have to find them again. Chad Stilson had some T-shirts in here at one point that he was creating.
Yeah,
I know he said he made a Tuscany shirt.
Yeah, let's get a new post out there so we can get it there. So.
Yep. And that's the Discord. Join us on the Discord for more shenanigans where we talk gaming.
Yeah, I think Dev posted like 44 BGA games today. So plenty of games to play if you get up in there. Yeah.
But that wraps us up. That gets us to the end of the show. Any final closing thoughts? Mike, Wayne?
No, man, I'm good. So as
Good
again,
with you, man.
Yeah. Good to have you back, Mike. It's been a while.
Thanks. I wish I could have made it more often. Just everything going on.
The good part about the show,
you make it as often as you can.
Yeah.
No, he said he posted it into the deals channel. So the deals and sales channel.
Cool.
Let me pull it up here. I like these. I know, Wayne, you're big on these T-shirt things. Every time I see you, you have a
different
very
nerd
geeky,
shirt.
Right?
Yeah, I got my Mos Eisley T-shirt on tonight.
Is that what that one is?
Yeah.
Here's greetings from Europa.
Oh, okay.
Camp Evertree. That's was that Blue Buffalo or
Everdell?
Yep, that's what I'm thinking of. Everdell. So there's CBS. That's Chad Stilson and his T-shirts. You can check them out there. I love sharing people's stuff that they do in our community. I love sharing what they got going on.
Yeah, I'll have to check out the Tuscany shirt. I need a good viticulture shirt.
All right, folks. Well, that wraps us up for tonight. We thank you all for joining up. I'll post this on the podcast, so use your podcast subscribing service of your choice. Please throw in a thumbs up in the YouTube. Throw in a comment. If you are listening in podcast format, please make sure to rate us in there. Put a comment in there about what you like about us. That really does help kind of get us out to other folks. Share with your friends what we're doing here. Please continue to pray for us and our families, and we pray that God blesses yours. And we thank you for watching. We will catch you all next week. Night, everybody.
Night.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.